Hey everyone, I am Anthony Scott of ToyHypeUSA.com, and today we're going to check out the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man and Skeletor figures that are available exclusively at Walmart for 2020 and everywhere else starting in 2021. I want to thank Mattel for providing these for review, greatly appreciated. So, He-Man and Skeletor and the rest of the figures in this line are packaged on retro-inspired cards, as you see there. And I know I said in the Sky Sled video that it feels like 1982 all over again with that packaging. That feeling remains with these figures, and they really did a great job on this packaging. You see on the upper left-hand side, it says new for 20. The logo looks great. The card back looks great. Everything about it it's just great to look at. It's very eye appealing. And I'm going to show you guys the back. And there you go. So you see on the top of them, it has He-Man and Skeletor, and very nicely done artwork. Really, really happy with that. A brief description below them. Instructions on the left side, and a look at the rest of the figures in this line to the right of that. So they really did a nice job capturing that old feeling from the 80s, and I for one am thrilled to see this line back. Strongly recommend you guys picking up the figures. So what I'm going to do now is open these up and we're going to take a look. I also want to say these include a comic book, which is what says on the top there, includes comic book. So we're going to check that out as well, and stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. So I have taken He-Man and Skeletor out of packaging, and I want to kick things off by looking at the mini comic that's included. As you can see, it's really nicely drawn. I really like how they did it. It's the same mini comic for both He-Man and Skeletor. Looks really good. If you need more time to read it, just pause the video. And on the back is a look at the rest of the figures. Mine is Battle Cat and the Prince Adam with the Sky Sled for 2020. So there's a look at that. And it's just the same thing. So I'm sure most of you are aware the Origins line is updated, but retro-inspired, updated articulation. And I'm sure if you have He-Man from last year's San Diego Comic-Con release, you pretty much know what to expect. He-Man and Skeletor share the same base body with a few new parts, just as they did in the 80s and MOTU Classics. So here's a look at that. Fully articulated. So I really like this design. It works very well for He-Man, Skeletor, and other characters that will share this base. So the articulation is a ball-jointed head, ball-hinged shoulders, swivel-hinged elbows, swivel-hinged wrists, swivel waist, ball-jointed hips, swivel-hinged knees, swivel calves, hinged and rocker ankles. So, as I'm sure most of you are aware, many of these parts can be interchanged with each other. The shoulders, other pieces just snap right off. You can swap out pretty much most of the parts for this line, maybe not every single character, but at least most of them will work between Masters of the Universe Origins and Masters of the WWE Universe. These figures are all meant to be swapped out, and so you can create all new characters if you choose to go that route. But for this purpose, I'm just going to keep them the way it is. And so he's definitely an A-list on my book. He includes his iconic chest harness, his orange belt, orange bracelets, the lion cloth, the boots. They really did a nice job. And he comes with several accessories. One is the half sword that he had back in the 80s. The San Diego Comic-Con release had the full sword. This one comes with the half sword, and what I mean by the half sword is that it's just half a sword, but it can connect with the sword that comes with Skeletor. So I'm going to put it together, and once you have that, you have a full sword, just as you did in the 80s. This is exactly how it looked. And I'm going to put it in his hand, just like that. So He-Man has his power sword. So there's a look at that. He also comes with his axe. And of course his shield. That goes on by slipping it through his hand there, and then just like that. Alright, so here's a comparison of the single-carded He-Man figure. That's this one right here, with his San Diego Comic-Con release last year, which is right here. They share the same sculpt, just repainted. As you can see, the dagger does not come with the single-carded release. And as I said, the San Diego Comic-Con edition had the full sword, and it had a spot on his back to place the sword, as does this figure. So I think you guys can also tell from the video the differences in the paint apps. His skin tone is a little bit lighter on the single card release. The chest harness is a little darker gray compared to the San Diego release. The blades on the axe are also painted on the San Diego release. You can see the difference in the shield. The San Diego release is darker with darker gray and darker red. The single release is lighter on both colors. The boots, you can tell the difference as well. Let me just move that a little closer. So you can see the straps are painted in a reddish brown compared to all brown for the single carded release. So you can see it better in this frame here, the difference in the boots. And that's the same on both sides. So I'm going to remove their accessories so we can have a closer look at the head sculpts. So as I said, you want to be a little bit careful when removing the shield. So here you can tell a little bit of the difference in the head sculpt. This skin tone is darker, this one's lighter. The hair on the San Diego release is also a little bit darker. And they're also the same height, just that his legs are a little bit bent. So you can really see the difference. Bringing it up close for you guys. And turning them around, you can get a look. I'm going to put the sword back there. So there's a look. You also see the difference in the sword. This sword has a thing here. You can fit his hand through. This one for the San Diego release does not have that. But other than that, it is similarly shaped as shown. So there's a look. I'm going to take this apart. And I'm going to show you what it looks like having the half sword in his hand. Looks very similar to this angle until you turn him around. Then you see the difference. And here is a look at all the figures I have in hand. Both versions of He-Man, both versions of Prince Adam, and Skeletor in the back. Let me bring these guys up one last time. Give you a look. Alright, so here's a look at Skeletor. He shares a lot of the same parts as He-Man, with a new head, new armor, new boots, just as he did in the 80s. And they really did a nice job on him. I love the vintage-inspired head sculpt. Really, really good. That looks fantastic. The sculpt and detail on the armor, they really did a nice job. The detail on the boots, these look great. Here's a look at the back. So I'm going to bring He-Man a little bit closer just to compare these two. You can see it's the same body with some new parts. So, as I said with He-Man, Skeletor's parts are universal with figures with similar build, similar sculpt. And you can swap out the arms, the head, the legs, various other pieces, and swap it out with a different figure between this line and Masters of the WWE Universe. The hips here are removable, as shown. And I just showed you guys how the sword can be placed together. I am now going to put this half of the sword in Skeletor's hand. Apologize. Okay, there we go. So it's now securely in his hand, and of course his staff. And there is your brand new Skeletor figure for 2020. He looks amazing. I cannot stress that enough. I love the style that they're doing, the updated articulation. Just look at the sculpted details in that staff. That's insane. So they're really going all out with this line. You could see the passion into it as well. They're doing a phenomenal job. And again, you can find these now at Wal-Mart Stores, but don't sweat. These will be available everywhere else next year. I know there's a lot of people looking for these figures that are having a lot of trouble, but they're not permanently a store exclusive. So you guys will eventually have them. I could only imagine there's going to be plenty to go around. So once pre-orders go up, make sure to get your orders in. And thank you. This is Anthony Scott of toyhypeusa.com. Again, I would like to thank Mattel for providing these figures for review. Greatly appreciated. Please like and share this video. I would greatly appreciate that. Please follow us on social media, links below or on the upper right hand side of the website. Would greatly appreciate that. And stay tuned for more coverage. Thanks, guys.